another very spread belief is if I don't sleep well, my cancer will come back. So of course, someone who goes to bed with this type of thought will feel extremely anxious because the consequence apprehended is very, very dramatic. So if we think that the fact of not sleeping will bring back the cancer, we will feel so anxious that it's very probable that we won't be able to fall asleep if or falling back asleep if we wake up during the night. So you can question the validity of this by asking questions. Is there any evidence that poor sleep causes cancer recurrence? Do all insomniacs have cancer recurrence? No. Do all good sleepers have no cancer recurrence? No. So the rational thoughts would be there is no scientific evidence that insomnia could cause a cancer recurrence. Cancer is a complex disease, and its recurrence is influenced by an array of often unknown factors, and that is reality. Cancer recurrence is impossible to predict, and we really don't know what are the factors that will cause recurrence with one patient and not with another, except the stage of the initial cancer. So by reducing the performance anxiety, we're really contributing to reduce probability of insomnia. I'm seeing that time is going very quickly, but there's also sleep hygiene that is pertinent. It's not the most efficient strategies. The most efficient are the two first that I mentioned, to work on bad sleeping habits and on faulty thoughts, but it could be useful to see that, for example, certain hygiene habits for sleep that can maybe cause the problems to sleep, like you should avoid caffeine 4 to 6 hours before bedtime, smoking before bedtime, and when you wake up in the evening, nicotine is a activating substance. Avoid drinking alcohol also before bedtime. Some people think that alcohol can help you to fall asleep, which is true, but alcohol will have a negative effect later in the night and will make your sleep lighter. So you have to avoid alcohol before bedtime, avoid heavy meals and sugar before bedtime, exercise regularly but not too late in the evening. This is of course a healthy habit, but you have to do it in the right moment in the day, always following the principle that you have to have about 1 hour to relax before going to bed. So avoid doing intense physical exercise before going to bed, because then it would be difficult to fall asleep. Then adjust the sleep environment. Make sure that the temperature is nor too hot nor too cold, that there's no noise, and light. Light is very important because a room with too much light usually stops us from secreting a hormone that is very important for sleep, which is melatonin. So it is really recommended to have your room as dark as possible. And avoid using medication as a sleep aid, as I already mentioned. And now I'm going to skip everything after that because I really want to keep some time for your questions. But what you really have to remember is that insomnia is very frequent amongst cancer patients, and it is the bad sleeping habits and the erroneous thoughts that maintain insomnia through time. And it doesn't matter what caused them at the very beginning. And the cognitive behavioral treatment really helps in improving the quality of life and improving the quality of sleep. So I'll stop there and I'll take your questions.
So please go ahead with your question, Bonnie. I've been had ovarian cancer surgery a year ago, January. I finished chemo at the end of June of last year. That's over 9 months ago. I still take Ativan every night to sleep. I've gone from the 1 milligram to the 0.5. That I don't know how to get off it. I've tried and I don't sleep. and I'm really concerned about this and what I should do.
Earlier, it's not that dramatic to take hypnotic medications on a long period. You might have noticed a decrease of the efficiency through time, and as I mentioned, it is normal. It won't have huge consequences on your health, but as I mentioned, it's not the most efficient option on the long term. So what you could do is to try the strategies that I mentioned today. Many people who participated to our studies on the efficiency of cognitive behavioral therapy, you did take medications regularly at the beginning of the program, and when we offered alternative strategies of modifying their behaviors and their thoughts and ideas, the medication became much less necessary, and after that, once you have alternative strategies that start working well, what I would recommend is to consult your doctor or pharmacist to have what we call a coverage schedule so that you don't stop too drastically, and that can really help too. But having said this, there are also studies that say to just stop to taking a sleeping medication that you've been taking for a long while can improve the quality of sleep as such. So even without maybe applying the other strategies that I mentioned earlier, because the sleeping medication becomes such so little efficient that it doesn't change much to keep taking it or not. On the opposite, it will actually improve your sleep not to use it anymore. I encourage you to try the strategies I presented today. It will help you improve your quality of sleep, and once your quality or efficiency of sleep is improved, you'll be able to progressively reduce the medication after that. I have one, Dr. Savar. We often listen, especially with the women we help, saying that if they're light sleepers, is there something they can do about that? Yes. Light sleep or non-recuperative sleep is a type of insomnia I didn't mention earlier that is also very frequent and that is more difficult to define and quantify. But what we observe is that even those who suffer that, even if it's more difficult to quantify, when they apply the strategies that I presented earlier, they will see a real improvement. So as I mentioned, it's probably because of the fact that the sleep they're getting is not of a good quality. So the person is more easily awakened, and to have the sleep spread on a shorter time, sleep is usually a deeper sleep. And we see that people complain much less of having a lighter sleep in these situations. And we often also hear women say that after having surgery, things like that, they say, well, I have to go pee many more times or things like that. So they wake up not necessarily because of their sleep, but because of other physiological problems. Yes, it's true. And there's the same thing for the hot flashes. These are factors that we can't really control, but where we do have a control, it is on how long you'll be awake. And so with the person suffering insomnia, waking up because you have to go pee or because of hot flashes, it might become very long because then they'll start to worry, oh no, I don't know if I'll be able to fall back asleep. If I don't fall back asleep, I'll be too tired tomorrow. I won't be able to function properly. And there's all this internal discourse that comes as negative to falling back asleep that we don't see in a good sleeper. So there's a lot of people who also have these symptoms, whether to have to go pee many times during the night or hot flashes, go back to bed and will fall asleep quickly. So as I said, the strategies I mentioned won't reduce your need of going to the bathroom during the night or won't reduce your hot flashes. What this will do is that you'll stay awake for much shorter periods. Thank you very much. Are there any other questions? I have no other questions on the phone. So I would like to thank Bonnie for her question, and I would also like to thank Dr. Savala and our translator, Mrs. Alianka Skap. If you would like to listen again to this session or have it listened to by your friends or colleagues, it will be soon available on YouTube, probably next week. The next phone conference, Living the Present Time, will be on Thursday, May 14th. We will send you an evaluation. Please fill it out and send it to us as soon as possible. Your comments are very important for us. Thank you very much for being with us today.